Well, as everyone starts to trickle in, welcome to American Viniyoga Institute's live foundations program, Viniyoga Foundation Program Q&A. Thank you for joining us today. Applications are open for the next cohort of training beginning in February. The early bird has been extended to November 30th and registration ends December 15th. My name is Tammy Schraub. I am the student advisor for the American Viniyoga Institute, and joining me today is Kathy Jamison. Kathy is the Viniyoga Foundations Program Coordinator. She's also senior faculty and a mentor for the program, a longtime Viniyoga practitioner, teacher, and yoga therapist. Kathy, thank you for joining us today to talk about the Viniyoga Foundations Program.
Thanks for having me. It's kind of fun to be here. We just had an exciting online weekend, so it's fun to be here right on the heels of that. So what do you want to know?
Well, let's just get into it. So there are many different training programs out there these days. What do you think sets this training apart from others?
I think there are kind of two main aspects. One is the Viniyoga itself, and then the other is the program, our program, and how we present the teachings of Viniyoga. And so what is unique, especially in the modern yoga world about Viniyoga, is that this is a lineage, and the lineage carries with it forward to the present day a massive, sophisticated body of knowledge from generations and generations of practitioners and teachers. And this has been a direct transmission in the lineage from, to me, from Gary Crafso, who is our principal teacher and founder of our program. But from Gary directly back to Desikachar, to Krishnamacharya, and then to Krishnamacharya's teachers in the Himalayas, and to their whole lengthy generations-long lineage of teachers and trainers, or teachers and practitioners. So I think that we're able to tap into something that's really deep and authentic. And then the other, I guess, is the way that we present this vast body of very sophisticated teachings about yoga. And that is that our program, we take an academic approach, and I can talk about that in a little bit more length in a few minutes. We put a lot of emphasis on the development of the student's personal practice, so that their own practice is their laboratory for exploring and integrating or fully embodying the teachings as they're presented. Within the program, we have a very comprehensive mentorship program. And then we want to develop our students both as practitioners and as teachers. So we put a lot of emphasis on the skills that it takes to develop sequences and to be able to present them. So I can sort of elaborate on any of those ideas if you wish. So you guide me.
Yeah, why don't you start with the academic approach?
Okay. So we have a very comprehensive body of materials, right?
Yeah.
A very full manual. Everything that's presented within the classroom sessions in the program is contained in the manual. In addition to the manual, there are lots of other reference materials. Plus, we use the books that Gary Crafso has written, Yoga for Wellness and Yoga for Transformation. We use some of Gary's other product, like Asana Unlocked, Pranayama Unlocked. And so the students have a lot of resources to draw from. And we present a lot of material, but we do it in a really organized way. So new material is presented, and then there's review. And then more new material is presented, and then we continue to review. So we call that a pedagogical approach to the way that we teach, so that we don't leave any gaps in the learning. We go forward, and then we go back, and then we go forward a little bit more, and we go back to make sure that we're filling in the gaps in understanding for our students all along the way. And this program, the Viniyoga Foundations Program, is a 500-hour training for teachers, and it's the first half of the American Viniyoga Institute's education program in yoga therapy. So this is the Viniyoga Foundations Program, where we present all of the foundational material in all of the aspects of yoga practice: asana, pranayama, the use of sound and chanting, meditation, tantra. We take a deep dive into the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, a very methodical exploration of that text. And we're preparing our students not only to be teachers, if that's their path, but also to enter our clinical applications program. The second half, it's an additional 500 hours, and I know that you're going to be talking to my counterpart in that program, Julie, in a week or two. So I'll leave that to her to talk about. But so from the very beginning, our whole orientation might be looked at as if it's therapeutic in nature, because the way that we look at every aspect of practice, whether it's the postures, or later on, that's where we begin with the postures. Later on, as we weave in working with breath and pranayama, and later on from there, as we weave in ideas about using sound as a pathway into meditation and meditation techniques and so forth, you could say that we have a therapeutic approach from the outset. And that's because we're always looking for each of those aspects of practice: asana, pranayama, chanting, meditation. What are the benefits? What are the potential risks? How can we learn to adapt and sequence all of those different aspects of practice and eventually weave them together in such a way that for each practitioner, we can maximize the benefits and minimize the risks? So that's some of what the program kind of consists of. The other aspect of it being an academic program is that there's a lot of emphasis on home study. There's a significant home study requirement, so that the students are going to be designing sequences from the very beginning, practicing those sequences from the very beginning, so that everything that they're learning is interconnected. And then along the way, they're going to also be teaching snippets of those sequences and receiving feedback, so that it's a really, not only do we integrate the aspects of yoga practice, but we integrate all of the aspects of the program. The materials that are presented, the students' exploration of those materials, and then the students' sort of sharing of those materials as teachers. And so it's a very interwoven, interconnected process all the way through. And I think that kind of leads me into talking about mentorship, if that's a good place to go, unless there's a question in between. But we have an extensive mentor program. Our mentors are faculty members. They are present for every online and in-person classroom session. In addition to that, the mentors make some presentations in the program, do some of the teaching in the program. So the students get a real sense of who the mentors are themselves as people, but also as practitioners and teachers. And then the mentors also conduct review clinics every month. So one Saturday a month, we get together for a few hours and we have a review clinic and we look at everything that's been presented so far. And so there's constant contact for the duration of the program with the mentors. And what that enables us to do as mentors is really get to know each individual student, get to know their learning style, get a sense of what they're really looking for from their own practice, what they're hoping to do with all of this knowledge as teachers or eventually as therapists, and to really help them develop in the direction that they want to go in. And it's it can be a very fun and very rewarding and long-lasting relationship. So I've been a faculty member and a mentor since 2008, and I still have wonderful relationships with many, many, many of the students that I've mentored. So any questions about that? Anything else you want to know about the mentors?
I think it's great that, we have the mentor program because as you were talking about the academic side of it, it sounds kind of intense, or it can sound kind of intense. So besides the mentorship program, I would love to hear about the how we integrate it. So the personal practice that comes from it and how it's not just learning this information to hold the information, you're learning to put it into practice.
To put it into use. Okay. So actually, the mentors are very involved in that. So in each session of the program, and the program happens in 4 parts, and the first part, the emphasis is on asana, the beginning of the study of the Yoga Sutras, and on the development of personal practice, right? So we work with the students to develop their observation skills. So they're watching everyone else in the room move, learning to see in a certain way. And so that they can translate some of what they see with the principles of Viniyoga into their own bodies and their own movement. And then the mentors really give a hands-on approach. So yes, this idea that it's an academic program and there's a pretty extensive home study requirement. And I don't want to minimize that because it's real. But it's so useful. And the whole idea of the home study is so that the students can really experience what they've been taught. But the mentors are there all along the way, in addition to the monthly review clinics that we do, to have one-on-one meetings with our mentees and help them in a very hands-on way, develop their personal practice, learn the sort of the foundational elements of sequencing and how to adapt postures, how to adapt breath, all of that kind of stuff in a very hands-on way. And so I think that with regard to this sort of big academic thing and with the development of personal practice, when you have someone with whom you can share your goals and your needs, for instance, if you have structural limitations, certain body parts don't move in certain ways, or time constraints or other obligations, that you have a mentor who's there one-on-one with you all the way through to really help you recognize what the limitations are, how we can adapt our practice to work with those limitations, to minimize any risk that there might be because of those limitations, maybe even to overcome them over time. And but it's a very sort of ongoing, hands-on approach. And so there's a lot of contact, as much as the student wants almost, with the mentor. And of course, with this emphasis from the beginning on taking what has been presented, this method of practice with its principles of application or principles of practice, within this method, to put it into use. And it's by doing it ourselves that we learn, oh, these really are the benefits. They're not just saying this really does happen. And oh yeah, there really is this risk here. And this is how I can minimize or mitigate that risk, especially for whatever limitations I have in my body. So it's a very hands-on, guided kind of approach. Having said that, our whole idea that underlies it all is to really empower the students so that they know sort of what and how to practice for themselves, rather than giving them a practice to do, helping them find what's going to be best for them. And the whole process of Viniyoga at first is is, oh my gosh, I don't know what to practice. And we can give basic ideas how to get started. But then from there, the longer term goal is for the student to begin to integrate all of these ideas about how to use postures, how to use breath, how to integrate meditation and visualizations and all those kinds of things into a practice to serve their own needs on any given day, so that they can take all this material that we present, these principles of yoga that are so comprehensive, and use them maybe differently on a day-to-day basis, depending on what their needs are on any given day. So I hope that makes some sense to some of the friends that have joined us here. I'm happy to see so many people with us today. It's great.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Something that comes to mind for me is what Gary always says is the depth and breadth. And that's what you get within the Viniyoga Foundations program or any of the programs that we have. And you kind of talked about this a little bit, but you've been teaching for many years and involved in the training and mentoring of teachers with American Viniyoga Institute for over a decade now. What do you believe are the most important skills and qualities that a yoga teacher should learn during their training?
Wow. Okay. Well, I can talk about some of the qualities of a teacher that we hope to help them develop and the skills that we hope to help them develop. And that is, number one, we start with observation skills, looking at other bodies, looking at how other bodies move, and then with the aspect of teaching specifically, we talk about how we can use language, how we can develop our verbal cueing to help the students that are in front of us bring attention to where maybe they don't have attention right now, to bring awareness to maybe where there's a lack of awareness, and so that they can move in a very functional way, or they can breathe in a very functional way. And of course, Viniyoga is breath centric. So we want to breathe and move together in concert with each other in a very functional way. And so the first skills that we focus on are observation skills. The second skill set is language, the language of asana. How do we cue asana? And without giving anyone a script, but what do you see from your observation of what you see in front of you? And how can you, as the teacher, find the language to bring awareness to that for the student, right? So that they can be more aware in their own practice. And we talked a little bit about the use of demonstration as a teaching skill, although we really focus on language. We look at how we can use props in a very beneficial and functional way. Again, the use of props goes back to maximizing benefits and minimizing risks of whatever it is that we're doing. And I think that one of the things that happens sort of organically for our students, and it's because of the home study, is that from the very, very beginning, they're learning to design sequences. They're learning to design sequences that are safe, effective, and they're learning, again, to sort of maximize the effectiveness of the sequence, whatever the goal is that they have for the sequence, whether they're working toward a goal posture or working toward a particular seated pranayama technique. They're learning all the way along how to organize the asana and the breath work to serve all of that. And so by the time they finish the program and they go out to teach, they already know how to do that. They know how to design a sequence. They know how to design a sequence to move the students in a particular direction and to do it effectively. And then all the way through the program, as each new aspect of practice is presented and then integrated into the student's own practice, they're given opportunities to teach in small sort of breakout groups with their mentors present and to receive feedback from their fellow students and from their mentors all the way along. And so I think that and our goal is to help them build their confidence, help them find the language, help them understand when it's appropriate and necessary to demonstrate, but always to remember that their role as a teacher is to be paying attention to what's happening with the students and continue to observe all the way along so that they can make adjustments in their teaching plan if they wish to. And I think if any of our guests today have already been yoga teachers, they may have had the experience of having an idea in their head of what they're going to teach. They go into a room full of students, and then they find out that many of the students can't do very well what they were hoping to teach. And one of the main skills of a Viniyoga teacher is being able to recognize that and make adjustments, adaptations, modifications on the spot and continue and still realize the goal of what the practice was going to be about. So it's a lot.
It's a lot.
But I think that, when we get to the very end and we have a final teaching practicum, the students come with a lot of confidence to that. And I think they feel that they've been very supported by their mentors and by their cohort, their fellow students, because it's a mutual learning process. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you covered skills. Would you like to talk about qualities?
qualities of a teacher.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Confidence
Mm.
is one. And confidence and trust. Trust in what they've learned and what they carry with them then as they go out to teach. And trust that over we don't teach something today and expect or encourage someone to then turn around and teach that tomorrow. Our idea is we present things now, you experiment with them in your own practice for a while, and then we'll give you the teaching skills to teach them so that you can confidently, because you have an experience of it in your own body, in your own energetic system, you can confidently go out with that. So I think confidence and trust in what they've received from the lineage, what the lineage has carried forward. I think also some passion for what they do. I think that however they decide to present themselves as teachers in the world and within the Viniyoga context, because of our ideas about adaptation, there are a lot of possibilities, right? And so I think passion, something that they're very interested in so that their passion for it can come through because passion inspires the students. And I think, what else? Presence.
Yeah.
And a sincere desire to help others, right? So we've got confidence, trust in the knowledge, a sense of presence, interest and passion in what they're doing so that that can come through and inspire their students. And then really a sincere desire to share the benefits that they've gotten from yoga practice with others. And that's really the reward, I think. And it has been the reward for me all along, is bringing my passion to it and watching over time the transformation in others, whether they're my students out in the world or students directly in our program. So that's really the reward.
Absolutely. You kind of started to talk about this a little bit, but there are a lot of possibilities of what's possible for graduates of the Viniyoga Foundations program. So you've mentored a lot of students. Where are graduates teaching and what are they teaching? Because there's a lot of tools that were given in the program. So just to give an idea for anyone who's wondering, the places that they might be teaching or the types of things that they might be teaching.
We were just talking about this over the weekend. We had one of our one of our online weekends as part of the current program that we're about to finish up in December. We were talking about that and what opportunities are there. The landscape of yoga has really changed. The pandemic changed a lot of things. So a lot of yoga studios don't exist anymore, but some do. So teachers can teach in studios in any kind of setting, senior centers, cancer centers, community centers, country clubs, all kinds of, there's so many venues for teaching. And now the idea of teaching online has exploded. And many of us who never taught online or didn't do it much before the pandemic now have quite an online presence. And that can be done in lots and lots of different ways. And the teachers, we encourage the teachers to follow their own passion. So some come with a strong orientation toward asana, and they become exquisite Viniyoga asana teachers. Some come already with some meditation in their background, perhaps from a different tradition, maybe a Buddhist tradition or something like that. And they're more interested in sharing meditation. So the asana portion of the practices they teach isn't emphasized as much as it is for someone who is really asana oriented. And then, people who focus more on meditation teach often in, oh, wow, senior centers love meditation or meditation focused classes, hospitals often, and churches and other areas of worship. Some are churches, some are synagogues, mosques, temples of one kind or another, and a lot of meditation is tied to worship and prayer eventually. So, but I think, and so in our program, not only do the students get to teach little bits all the way along of what they've learned so far, but they get to do it both in person and online now. So we're giving them the experience of teaching to a room full of live humans, but also the experience of teaching in front of a Zoom screen to, people that exist in little tiles on a screen. And that happens all the way through. They get both in-person and online experiences throughout the program until the final practicum, which is all this time around anyway, going to be in person. And hopefully going forward, notwithstanding any more pandemics or any other things that make it so that we can't be together in person. But so there's a myriad of opportunities. And then many of our students are teachers, school teachers. So they bring yoga into their classrooms. Many are physicians or nurses or other medical practitioners, and they bring yoga into their practice. They teach their colleagues. And then many of our students go on to the second half of the program that's offered by the Viniyoga Institute, and that is our clinical applications program for therapist training. And they're interested in taking all this foundational knowledge that they've acquired over a period of about 2 years and learning how to really individualize it for specific, very, very specific needs for specific clients in therapy. And so many go on to study that and become yoga therapists. And we've had students who are psychologists and psychotherapists. They incorporate a lot of Viniyoga into their programs. And, sometimes they will be incorporating asana to bring the somatic piece into their practice. Sometimes it's asana, pranayama, and meditation, depending on who their clients are. So I think that we've had students who've brought it just about everywhere.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We Do you have a few minutes if anyone here has any questions? And while we give a moment for that, I just want to mention again, the registration is open for the next cohort beginning in February of the Viniyoga Foundations Program. The early bird has been extended through the end of this month, November, and the registration cutoff is December 15th, the middle of December. The link is in the chat if you're here on Zoom. And again, if you have any questions, if you're live with us on Zoom or on YouTube, feel free to put them in the comments. Thank you so much, Kathy, for being here today to share a little bit about the Foundations program and some things that people can expect to get out of it, as well as the possibility of what it might give them. So just another moment, and if there are no questions.
Maybe while we're waiting to see if any questions come up, I'll say something about our faculty and our staff. Everyone on the staff at the American Viniyoga Institute is a graduate of our programs, and we're all yoga therapists. And so all of us, have a lot of background in this way of practice and teaching. And those of us that are on the Foundations Program faculty have been faculty for decades. And we've trained hundreds of students now, all of us collectively. We've worked together for a long time. We've really put some beautiful polish onto all of the materials that we use, and into the order in which everything is presented, because we have really a lot of experience. So in our Foundations program, you'll be working with longtime Viniyoga practitioners and teachers, and longtime teachers of Viniyoga teachers. And so we have a lot of experience in all of those areas to bring. So
Yes, as a recent graduate of both programs, I can attest that it's really skillfully put together, and there's no overwhelm. Everything is a step-by-step approach, and you receive so much out of the training that it's just almost beyond what you can put into words.
And I think even though it's an academic program and there's a lot of, we ask a lot of you in terms of home study in the program, it's really well paced.
It is.
And with our monthly review clinics, you can pace the progress of your home study according to what we're covering in the review clinics, so that and we'll remind you, where to find answers to questions in the resource materials and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that we've done everything we can to present as comprehensive a program as we can, and again, maximize the benefits and minimize the risks of overwhelm, as you put it. So I think Lisa has a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi there. Thank you for offering this exploratory call. A quick question about the sessions, the in-person sessions. There are 4 or 5 of them in total.
In the Foundations program, there are 4 in-person sessions, and they're each a week long.
A week long, okay. And hotel accommodations are not included in the cost, or are they?
Okay. We offer our program at a yoga center that has lodging.
Gotcha.
So there's a tuition fee and a lodging fee, and the lodging fee is separate. But we stay together. I should have actually talked about that. So thank you, Lisa, for bringing it up. In our in-person sessions, they're like immersions, and we actually call them that. We're together all day, every day for a week. We eat our meals together, the staff and the students. We are in classroom sessions together, and there are ample breaks worked into the day and everything. And then most of us stay on campus. We stay at the yoga center in the dormitory space, and the lodging can be whatever you want almost. You can have a private room with a private bath. You can have a private room with a shared bath. You can have shared rooms with private baths, shared rooms with shared baths. The campus at the Ancient Yoga Center in Austin, Texas, or just outside of Austin,
Mhm.
is beautiful. And during the breaks, you're surrounded by nature and you can take wonderful walks and so visit, the flora and fauna, lots of wildlife around there. And there's a beautiful temple on the campus. And um, the food is good, really good. The food is vegetarian. 3 vegetarian meals a day are provided. It's gourmet vegetarian food with an excellent chef who's been with us, with the Ancient Yoga Center and with us for a long time. So there's a lot of variety and it's plentiful. So, and there's snacks out and the tea bar is open all day. And so there are always, refreshments and stuff like that. So, we try to take as good care of you as we can.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And something from Rohit, perhaps, in the chat.
Feel free to unmute if you would like.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
You as well.
My question is that if someone would like to come from the other state, other country, like I am from India, so what is the visa process? And you have said that this is the academic program. So what kind of visa your student like I can get? And what
Okay.
help you can just process regarding visa to me? What kind
Okay.
of help you can do? Yeah.
So visas are a little bit of a moving target, as I'm sure you already know. We have had students come to our program from India,
Mhm.
from the United Arab Emirates, from France, Germany, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, Colombia, Mexico, Vietnam, lots and lots of different places, Uruguay. So let me say a couple of things about the visa process. Once you are accepted into the program, our office, can provide you with a letter that confirms that you're accepted into the program. The letter will spell out the dates of the program, and then you use that to go to your consulate or the US embassy that's nearest you to apply for your visa. And it's a temporary student visa that you would have,
So
or that you
temporary
would be asking for anyway.
Okay. So temporary student visa it is. So whether I would be able to do the part-time job or not, including this while doing this course.
A part-time job in the US?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have to stay here. You could come for the in-person intensives that are 1
Okay.
week long
Okay.
and then be back in India. You don't have to stay here, and your mentor,
Okay.
and I'm usually the one who gets the students that are from outside of the United States. Your
Mhm.
mentor will maintain contact with you from wherever it is you live. So, and we can do it that way. You don't have to stay in the United States. Regarding the question, if you wanted to come and stay here for 2 years, for instance, to do the
Yeah.
foundations program and work part-time, I don't know the particulars of that for your country. That's something you have to work out with the US consulate office on your end.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But there's no need to stay here for 2 years. One wonderful thing about the program, that you can come for a short period of time and then go home to India and continue your studies and continue your relationship with your mentor and plug into the online events that we have, which happen every month, and then come back. It's the 1 week intensives that are in person happen approximately every 6 months for 1 week. So for instance, I believe that this program starts in February, and our first in-person intensive then would be in March. And then there won't be another in-person intensive until the fall. And I'm not sure of the dates, unfortunately. Sorry for that. I don't have them right in front of me, but I think it's October. So it's March and then maybe October, and then again the following March or April, and then again the following October or November. It goes like that.
And in therapy, what kind of specialization is used for the patient by you?
In
Like,
yoga therapy,
yeah,
you know
in
what?
therapy.
I'm going to defer that question to we're going to do another one of these with my counterpart, who's the coordinator of the therapist program, the clinical applications program. Her name is Julie. And
Okay.
Tammy, can you tell us what the date of that is?
It's next week.
It's
So
next
we
week.
left.
So you can mail to us.
So
It
then
would.
Julie is best able to answer that question, the specifics about working as a therapist.
Okay, okay. So whether I do complete this course, so what kind of job availability available for us in the
Well,
future
that's a good
practicing?
question. I don't know what's available in India. In the United States, there are lots of different opportunities, as I talked about a few minutes ago, for yoga teachers. The
Mhm.
opportunities for yoga therapists, I'll just give you a kind of a general answer to that question. Uh, Yoga therapists work in medical settings, in wellness center settings, like clinics that offer acupuncture, yoga therapy, chiropractic, Ayurveda, depending on where they're located and what other practitioners are around them. Some work in medical settings in the United States right now. There are many medical centers, including the Mayo Clinics and the Cleveland Clinics, and many of our major hospital groups that are hiring fully qualified yoga therapists. And many yoga therapists, like me, have a private practice. And some of us specialize in one area. It could be one area of health or one area of the aspects of yoga. It could be that we could be a structural yoga therapist, or we could work more with, again, with guiding people to manage their energy and calm their nerves, that kind of thing. So it just depends really on what our interests are. But there are myriad now, many, many different opportunities and venues for teachers. And yoga therapy is becoming more and more recognized in the United States and in Europe and in certain other places like the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, countries that I know of, Israel, that have very active yoga therapy practitioners and programs. So I just don't know in India what's happening with yoga therapy, although this tradition is from India, and
Yeah,
the therapeutic tradition of yoga has existed in India for a long time. Our home, the home of this lineage, is in Chennai at
okay.
the Krishnamacharya Yoga Mandiram in Chennai.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a yoga therapy clinic in Chennai. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, in Chennai Yog Mandira you talked about, so same kind of policies and same kind of procedure you are applying regarding the therapies, I hope.
The programs are we call it parallel construction. So the
Okay,
way this program, the foundations program, is built is that we have some weekends that take place online. We have some in-person intensives. And then we have very short, like 3 hour, 3.5 hour clinics that we do. And that happens over a period of almost 2 years. And then the therapist program looks very similar to that. There are online aspects and in-person aspects of the program. Again, they happen in like 6 month periods of time, and it's the same. It's 4 units in the foundations program and 4 additional units for the clinical applications program. That's correct, right, Tammy? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Next week, I'll be live with Julie, who is the program coordinator for the Viniyoga Clinical Applications Program. That's our yoga therapy program. And the week after that, I'll be live with Gary. So I hope that you'll come back the next couple of weeks for some Q&A on our programs. And if you have any questions, you can email us and let us know. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much again, Kathy, for joining us today to answer these questions.
Thank you for having me. And I just want to say to our friends that are here today, if any of you have additional questions, more specific questions, Tammy will direct them either to me or to Julie so that we can give you specific answers to your specific questions. And I, for one, hope to be able to meet you all here in February when we begin our new program. So I wish you all the best in your yoga journeys. Thanks. Thanks so much, Tammy.
You're welcome. Thank you.